You all join palms and repeat after me. I take refuge in the Buddha.
I take refuge in the Buddha.
I take refuge in the Dharma.
I take refuge in the Dharma.
I take refuge in the Sangha.
I take refuge in the Sangha.
Keeping the palms joined. Put the palms down. All right, good evening, everybody. Nice to see you all here. What brings you here? Oh, you're here. Good to see you. I was like when, I already hit one of them on the head with the book, but I was like when it's like, nothing against all you regulars who are always here, but especially during these times that we're in, it's like, you go 3 years and somebody that was here every single day all of a sudden just shows up. It's like, wow, it's kind of cool. Or, somebody every 6 months pops in because they don't live here and like, oh, wow, you're here. And I don't know, it's just kind of neat. And there's people who like, someone used to come downtown the early days for a few years, and then literally, y'all know we have like city signs out there that say Dharma Bum Temple. Have you seen those? I just think it's hysterical that we have them. Have you seen them? You guys, yeah. So we spent 16, 17 years with this place and never had a sign. Downtown Temple never had a sign. And the funniest thing about it is people would always say, like, well, how are we supposed to find you? And the person was literally in the temple when they would ask that question. So obviously they found it somehow. We used to always joke and say we wanted to make it as impossible to find as possible. And to make it really, this was downtown, it's impossible to park. You're Second and Market, there's nowhere to park. It's busy as all, madness all the time. It's loud. It's a tiny little space. There's no sign. You can't find it. So if you were there, like you really wanted to be there. And it was kind of a cool thing to create. And so all those years, no sign, you walk right by it and there's just a Buddha in the window. You wouldn't know what it was. And then we come here and 6 years ago now almost. And they're like, well, we're not putting a sign up here either. And when we first took over, there was, you picture like your typical church or, they have like that, I don't know, there's probably some name for it, that like thing that has all this sign stuff on it, probably just a sign. And there were all these letters on it. And it said like, Sunday school, it had their whole stuff up there. And so Maggie and I, we were like taking all the letters off one by one. When we got down and they were like, and the thing was right in the front there and the letters were tiny, and it was left with like, we each had like a D and a B and a T, so we put like DBT up there, and you could hardly even see it, but we laughed because people would still have no idea what that was, and if anything, they would just think it was some like dialectical behavior therapy place. Then we got rid of that whole sign whatsoever, and then Travis painted, which is really cool. The one that's right there has a little Bodhi leaf on it, bless you, and the dude sitting there is holding like a rucksack. And there's like tiny little letters of DBT on there. So it's like, so I guess that's a sign, but we have no sign. And a couple years ago, a dear friend of mine and ours around here, Matt, he was like, hey, what do you think about getting those like city signs, that like churches and places like that have. And I just thought it was funny because I've done my best to never consider ourselves like a real place. And so he explored it and reached out to the city back and forth and all this kind of stuff. And then one day I was like driving on Washington, and sure enough, there's this like sign that says Dharma Bum Temple, and there's like an arrow. It points to the Board of Education building. So, and then there's one on Washington, and there's one on coming off Washington. There's one on I guess that's still Park, but so there's two of them in each direction. And we just thought it was really funny that we never had nor wanted a sign, and then the city put these signs up there. And I don't think anybody ever uses them. I mean, were any of you coming here tonight and you saw the sign and you're like, sweet, now I know where to go? No. But this whole story started because someone showed up a couple weeks ago who used to come downtown for years and then fell out of the practice, and a lot of things changed, and was up in the neighborhood and saw the sign, and now they're back. And I thought it was really cool. And if anything, I think it becomes a sign where people are like, Dharma Bum Temple, what the heck is that place? And then they Google it and they find it. So yeah, I think it's, I'm trying to turn this ramble into some sort of deep Dharma teaching, but I don't know if there is one. So that's it. God, how did that start? Yeah, nice to see you, Dave. Crazy. Anyone here for the first time tonight? Welcome. What brings you here?
I've been online a few times.
Yeah.
I wanted to make it.
What's your name?
Ronnie.
Ronnie. Good to see you, Ronnie. Glad you're here.
Hi, Laban.
Laban.
I'm looking just for other things, exploring, and my friend Benji here has been here before and said it might be a good idea to check out. So it sounded good.
Terrible idea, Benji. Yeah. Did he promise you anything? Pizza?
All of it.
All of
I
it.
mean, the world. So.
Just,
yeah.
We got an hour to. Yeah. That's actually not bad, because a couple hours ago, a woman who's considering life-ending stuff was asking me what God thinks. So, I'll do my best to live up to the expectations and answering questions about God. So simple, right? It's like, I don't know. You have to ask God. So that's all I got. All right, so we're going to start with meditation practice. Those of you who are joining virtually, welcome. Good evening. I'm glad you're all here. Feel free as you are to chime in, say hello. With meditation practice, a couple things to tell you before we begin. Nothing's going to happen to you. You're not going to float away. You won't have any mystical, magical experiences. The mind that races all day long is not going to shut off. Don't judge your practice. I mean, you don't ask yourself, is it working or not working? Are you doing it right or wrong? We're just going to sit. We're going to breathe. You'll hear sounds inside the room, sounds outside. This is life. Life is filled with chaos. And the practice of meditation is learning to get quiet and still within all of the chaos. Posture, you just want to be comfortable. If you are on a cushion, often sliding to the front third helps a little bit. Pushing the stomach forward allows the back to straighten. If you're on a bench or a chair, same thing. Just trying to sit up straight, relaxing the shoulders, hands are on the knees or in the lap, whatever's comfortable. I will guide us as we begin, and we'll settle into a little bit of silence. Most important with the practice, do not expect anything. We're just going to sit and breathe. And starting with the eyes closed, if comfortable, or slightly open. Mouth is open or closed. We'll start with taking 3 deep breaths slowly. And eventually, we'll settle into a natural rhythm of the breath. Noticing the mind as it wanders, jumping from thought to thought. Start with gently guiding the attention, focus to the stomach or chest. Breathing in, feel them rise. Breathing out, they fall. Simply continue this practice, observing sensation of breath, expecting nothing but to sit and breathe. As the mind wanders, lost in thought, recognize it. Release that thought. Return attention, focus to the breath. Breathing in. Follow breath in. Breathing out. Follow breath out. Learning to be comfortable in stillness, in quiet, simply sitting, breathing. Keeping the mind alert. of each sound. Each thought. Each physical sensation. Yet concerned with nothing, but sitting, breathing. And with the body still, rested, and the speech quiet, aware of all sounds, and the mind learning to settle. Know what it's like to just sit and breathe. Knowing with each breath, there's nothing else to do. Nowhere else to go. And no one else to be. Everything beautiful, exactly as it is. Sitting, breathing. And once again, Taking 3 deep breaths slowly. And as you slowly open the eyes, slowly beginning to move. Most important, with the practice of meditation, is to recognize how you feel now, immediately after. Compare this to how you typically feel throughout your day. Recognize the difference, if there is one. Ask yourselves how you'd prefer to feel every day for the rest of your life. And realize however you feel now, if it's quiet, calm, and still, or a busy mind, racing mind, whatever you're sitting with at this moment, has nothing to do with anything I said. It's nothing to do with how we sit, hold the hands or cross the legs. It's nothing to do with the sounds around us, or anything else for that matter. It has everything to do with your own mind and your own mind's reaction to an external condition. This is what the Buddha called pratitya samuppada, means dependent origination. This is the basis of the Buddha's awakening. The word Buddha simply means awakened. He was a human being, no different than any one of us, who began to understand why he suffered, why he got angry, sad, depressed, stressed, anxious. He began to understand the causal relationship of all phenomena. What that means very simply for all of us, regardless of where you come from or what you believe in or where you think you're going, your whole life is filled with things that happen. You react. More stuff happens, more reactions. That's it. This practice is simply learning what it's like to respond to something quietly, peacefully, still. Because for most of us, the way you responded to the last 20 minutes is quite different from how you respond to everything else that's happening throughout your day. And so all we're working on is closing the gap to where the way you feel now is closer to how you feel always. Just as driven, motivated, productive, successful, whatever that means to you in your respective lives. But with a mind that's steady, clear, focused, distracted by nothing, disturbed by no one. It's not an easy practice. It's not necessarily fun. It's not an escape, as often people might think it is at the beginning. If your life is a crazy, hectic, stressed out mess, meditation isn't going to fix that. but it'll help you become aware of why your life is a crazy, hectic, stressed out mess, so you can then make changes in your life. Meditation is direct perception into the present moment. And very often in our lives, the present moment is incredibly difficult, challenging, hectic. And so we learn to be with it as it arises. Meditation is free. Buddhist practice is free. Sitting, breathing, becoming aware of what you think, what you say, and what you do. And that's it. Once we stop trying to change, fix, control, manipulate everything around us, hoping they do this, hoping they do that, wishing they do this, wishing they do that. We spend so much time trying to fix and control others or change the past. Once we let go of all of that and we learn to just be with life as we have created it in our own life today, right now, and we find gratitude and appreciation for all of that, then life gets simpler. The Buddha teaches a lot about craving and desire leading to suffering. And this is always a challenging one because, especially if you're new to it, I mean, it's a challenging one whether you're new or not, but when you first hear it, it almost makes it sound, or I think it does sound, as if craving, desire equals bad. And I think, especially for those who are maybe newer to Buddhism, we have to be very careful about looking at these practices and these teachings as being good or bad, period. It's not about them being good or bad or right or wrong. It's about recognizing your relationship to your thoughts and your words and your action. Your relationship to your cravings and your desires. This is not about judging oneself as being a good or bad Buddhist or a good or bad person. It's just understanding the intention behind the actions. And the Buddha taught that there are healthy cravings, healthy desires. The craving to suffer less, healthy. If we didn't want to suffer less, none of us would be here right now, except for those who were promised pizza. So there are things in our lives that we crave and desire that are always going to be there. And it doesn't mean that this practice is asking you to just stop craving or desire or wanting things in your life. I mean, that's not realistic. It's not going to happen. For me, this practice around craving and desire is recognizing what is it one is craving and desiring and why. That exploration in itself will teach you a lot about yourself. And ultimately, that's what this practice is learning about yourself. As the great Zen master Dogen says, you must get to know the self before you can get rid of the self. So Buddhist teachings on non-self sound great and neat and fun stuff to have some philosophy around about, do we really exist in the way we perceive ourselves, all that kind of stuff. But the reality is that's all pretty much meaningless, since very few people have an honest, deep understanding of who they really are. And by who you really are, what I mean by that is not identifying or labeling yourself as any one person or thing, but exploring, to me, who you are is what are your thoughts, what are your words, and what are your actions. That's the exploration. And when you do that, you begin to maybe shift a little bit about how you live your life. And then the places you go and the people you see and the way you spend your time and, the things you eat, the things you drink, all that kind of stuff changes a bit as your intentions change a little bit. But none of that can change until we recognize what are our thoughts, what are our words, what are our actions. Now, if you're perfectly happy, perfectly peaceful, and, then, well, one, you probably wouldn't be here. But two, you can ignore all of that anyways, because you're good. But if you're like the rest of us who do suffer and struggle and have difficulties and challenges, it's good to watch. Watch the nature and get to know the nature of your own mind. because it's pretty fascinating, pretty humorous, pretty scary, pretty insane, and pretty beautiful all at the same time. So with that, I'll pause and just open up to questions. I always really prefer just to respond to questions, meditation, Buddhist practice, anything that's on your mind. And for those who are joining virtually, again, welcome. Glad you're here or there, but here. There's a chat box on your screen somewhere, so feel free to type any thoughts or questions, and I'll do my best to respond there as well. So thoughts, questions, meditation, Buddhist practice, anything you're sitting with. Yes, sir.
Yes, the cravings thing, or the habits or things like this. It's I'm an alcoholic.
Okay.
I'm an alcoholic. I got like a couple shades under 30 days. I'm trying not to pay attention to it because I found
Congrats.
that's driving it to a degree.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, trying to detach from the alcohol. And I just realized all that control that I was trying to do. And just be in the process. And I quit smoking today, which is amazing. I got 24 hours, around 24 hours. There was no cigarettes. And because that was feeding. It's just, I was like, why am I doing this? And I'm going through it, and it's nothing. So you said something interesting, because I'm like, okay, all my cravings are bad. All my things that I do are bad because I'm probably going way over the other side, right? So then how do you navigate that in determining, what's healthy and what's not?
Yeah. Good question. Congratulations on your almost 30 days, no alcohol. Congratulations on your 24 hours, no smoking.
That's huge. Yeah.
That's, we take, the Buddhist practice, it truly is one, there's a book by Kevin Griffin. Actually, Kevin Griffin there's a couple authors out there, but one of the most well-known authors of tying Buddhist teachings into recovery. And his book, literally, it's not why I brought it up, but his book is titled One Breath at a Time. But Buddhist practice is one breath at a time. And so when I say congratulations on 24 hours, like, that's a lot of breaths, that you went 24. Huh?
Good breaths.
Good breaths, right? So here's the first thing. And your question, for those who virtually maybe didn't hear it, is just how to navigate craving and desire when I think you said all of your cravings and all your desires are bad.
Right now, it seems that way.
It seems that way. Okay. Couple things. You had a craving and desire to ask that question, yes?
Right.
Or it wouldn't have occurred.
Sure.
Is that a bad craving or desire?
Yeah. No, it wasn't.
It's a simple yes or no question. There's no explanation needed. You got two boxes, yes or no. The question of what you asked, was that a good craving or a bad craving?
Good.
There you go, done. So let's chalk up one good thing, okay? All right? And it was Laven, right?
Yes.
Yes. So, and this might sound like an odd comment, but work with me here for a minute. Do you think because you drink or did drink, or because you smoke or did smoke, that you're a bad person? Also, yes or no?
No.
Oh, good. Well, then this will be a little bit easier. What I want you to hopefully try to understand, I'm guessing you're brand new to this meditation Buddhist stuff, yes?
No,
Okay.
I've gotten into the Tao for probably about 3 years. There's a lot of similarities there, I think.
Sure,
But
okay.
Buddhism, yes.
Okay.
I think there's
But the Eastern philosophies you've been exposed to a bit. Okay. Where I was going with that is the craving and addiction in and of itself. If you'd said yes, where I was going to go with that is that because you drink or did drink, because you smoke or did smoke, doesn't make you a bad person. You're just a human. And when you do certain things like drink or smoke, it might lead to other things that are not so healthy. Correct?
Yes.
Okay. So the recognition is to understand not so much what the craving or addiction is, but what's behind it? What's at the root of all of that? And this is for any craving, any addiction, everything, right? That's what this practice, and again, I'm not going to solve this for you in, 20 minutes.
Well, mine is control.
Well, there you go. Anyone else in here like to try to control things? We got two hands in the back there on one person, right? Meet David, right? There's a meme that I saw a couple years ago. I'm not a big meme fan, but this one I loved. And it's got a person sitting on a beach, looking out at the ocean or on the sand. It's kind of taken from this image behind them. And, they're sitting there having their, I'm sure, 7-Up. And it says, relax. Nothing is under control. So you like to try to control things. Yet, that's just a big illusion to you. It's all a big game. Because we see ourselves as the center of the universe and that everything must revolve around us. And the fact is, you're trying to control things to get things to be exactly how you want them to be, right? I mean, you're not trying to control things to get them to be how I want them to be. You don't even know me, so that would be dumb, first of all. And then even if you did, and you're like, yeah, you're great and all, or I don't like you, either way, it's still going to all come back to you. So this practice is beginning to help you understand. Again, I'm not going to answer your questions. I want to plant a couple seeds here for you to ponder, is that when you can begin to explore what is behind the craving and addiction, you said it's control. Okay, well, you think you are this person that has to have control. So then you go out to explore why. What are you so afraid, not to answer these things, what are you so afraid of? Why are you so afraid to just surrender and let go? What is it that's there? And that's going to take some time, as you know. But we take this process one breath at a time, one moment at a time, one day at a time. Because if you've been, what are you, 30 years old or something? You're far away. My eyes are bad. How old are you?
46.
Oh, right, 46. All right, so you're just a year behind me, right? I grew up an angry, pissed off asshole who tried to control everything.
That sounds familiar.
Yeah. And I was really good at it. And it made me miserable. And it made people around me miserable. And I had to really honestly look at myself and say, you are an asshole. Not you, me. You need to stop. And this practice is what does that, because it holds up a mirror and it asks why. Nobody can answer that for you. So I'm a big fan, congrats on the almost 30 days. Congrats on the 24 hours. And obviously keep committing to that. But at the root of all of that is committing to, why do you like to control everything? Committing to trying to figure out what is underneath all of that you need to open up and set down. All the past pain, disappointments, frustrations, anger, resentments, guilt, shame, remorse. Not that you're carrying any of that, but we all are. That's why we're here. All of us in different places and stages with it. So stay at this one breath at a time, one moment at a time, one day at a time for the rest of your life. Because what's deeply there has been there a long time. If you've been angry for 46 years, it's going to take more than 46 minutes to unravel all that. Right? And that's where I think, in whatever faith, hope, belief, those things are important. Believe that you can get through it. And also, it helps to recognize the way that one has been living, enough is enough. At some point we just throw in the towel and say, I can't do this anymore. And we either say, I'm just going to check out. We all know what that means. Or I'm going to commit to living a peaceful life because, I love myself and people around me love me and care about me. So it's a deep, deep commitment to this path. So Does that help?
Does that, yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
For sure. Other thoughts, questions? Yeah.
Could you say something about the Heart Sutra? I know, sorry. I've been looking at it and it seems like a huge puzzle, you know? And everything is an illusion, is what I'm getting so far. Like, question everything. No eyes, no ears, no nose, no body, no mind, no nothing. And question, is it worth trying to untwist that puzzle? What do you think about that?
There's no puzzle to untwist.
Oh, I knew you were gonna say that.
Yeah. So that calligraphy on the wall there, the black and white in between our new plywood windows there, is form is precisely emptiness, emptiness is precisely form. That's from the Heart Sutra. So let me back up briefly. I believe personally, as a Mahayana Zen Buddhist practitioner, Pure Land Buddhist, that the Heart Sutra is the deepest, most profound teaching that there is. That's my, craving, attachment, addiction is to the Heart Sutra. The Heart Sutra says, for those who are brand new, right? We all know, we don't all know, but in Buddhism, in brief, the first teaching is the Four Noble Truths. Life is suffering. First thing he said, you're going to suffer a lot throughout your life, okay? Second thing he says is the cause of suffering. Third thing he said, and that's greed, anger, ignorance. We overcome greed, anger, ignorance with generosity, compassion, wisdom. The third thing he says is the ending of suffering. The fourth thing he says is the path, and that's the Eightfold Path. That's correct views, thoughts, speech, action, livelihood, effort, mindfulness, concentration, all of that on Google for free, as is the Heart Sutra. So the entire basis of the Buddhist teachings all stem from the Four Noble Truths. The Heart Sutra says there is no suffering, there is no cause of suffering, there is no cessation of suffering, and there is no path. There is no wisdom or any attainment. With nothing to attain, bodhisattvas relying on prajnaparamita attain anuttara samyak sambodhi, which is supreme ultimate enlightenment. With nothing to attain. That's all there is. Happy to clarify that for you. I can see just the sparkles of joy. The Heart Sutra is, there's a lot of great commentaries on it, but I think Thich Nhat Hanh has, one of the best commentaries on the Heart Sutra. It's called The Heart of Understanding. The Heart Sutra, for those who are not familiar with it, I was going to say not interested in it. Here's your plan. Don't be interested in the Heart Sutra because it'll ruin your life forever. But the whole idea with the Heart Sutra, it's literally super brief. You could read it. In fact, when I used downtown, when I did the intro class on Sunday nights, when we were down there, we actually started every night with reading and reciting in English the Heart Sutra, because that's how I did it at the old temple. Was we always started everything with hearts. Every formal anything starts with reciting the Heart Sutra in Mandarin. It's super brief. It's like 3/4 to a page long, and you can read it, and it just doesn't seem to make any sense. It seems like a complete contradiction. And what it's getting at is coming out of what's called Prajnaparamita, Perfection of Wisdom Sutra, is the Diamond Sutra, the Heart Sutra, is that we live in a world of duality. Our entire life, everything is set up from the sense of I, me, and you. I don't have this, you have this. I have that, you have that. Good, bad, right, wrong, up, down. Our entire life is set up with this dualistic mind. And the idea of the teachings is to cut through this duality, non-duality, and abide in present moment, and be mindful of intention, of body, speech, and mind. The Heart Sutra is, to me, not meant to be understood. It's meant to be experienced. Yeah. But even just that line, having nothing to attain. I mean, if you really stop to think about it, even just the rest of tonight, forget about it, I was going to say all day, but just think about the rest of tonight. There are so many things that you're going to try to attain this evening without even really thinking about it. And again, these aren't like, when we're done here in a few moments, you're all going to attempt, probably, unless you want to stay here and, sleep on the floor, you're all going to attempt to attain what? Going home. Not a trick question, right? But you're probably not going to walk out of here thinking like, oh, I'm attempting to attain going home. But you know how many millions of things have to happen for you to actually get home? A lot. And each one of those things you're going to attempt to attain. Standing up. Maybe you lost, your legs doing okay right now? You have the ability to
I
stand?
was asleep for a little while.
Right? Did you drive? Is your car there?
Yeah.
You sure your car's there? You hope it's there. Is it going to start? Hope so. Maybe it's foggy. Maybe you can't see. There's a million things that are going to happen between now and this moment that you actually get home. But we don't stop to recognize these types of things. We just think, me, home, or wherever home is. But each one of those things, there's something you're trying to attain. And again, it's not about living your life abandoning attainment, because otherwise you would just be stuck there forever, But what's in that effort of attainment? What's really underneath all of that? Even kind of going back to the earlier comments around, the craving and desire. Why are we trying to attain things? For me, that's the practice. I don't sit with the Heart Sutra and think like, okay, have I gone beyond attainment yet? I look at it and think, what am I trying to attain and why? I think that's, for a few lifetimes, that's going to be enough to work on. So, the Heart Sutra. Yeah. Other thoughts, questions? We'll do one more before we wrap up. Yeah.
Yeah, I really like that elephant and that tiger over there.
Yeah.
Is there any symbolic meaning behind it?
Yeah. So this bodhisattva here, his name is Samantabhadra, and he represents great diligence, great effort. And the practice specifically of Samantabhadra is based on the 6 paramitas, and that's where you have the 6 tusks of the elephant. Also, the Mahayana school, Diamond Sutra, Heart Sutra, the practice of the bodhisattva. Bodhisattva means enlightened being. It doesn't mean that you're enlightened. It means that your vow, literally the bodhisattva vow, is to be reborn life after life until all sentient beings are free from suffering. So that's the bodhisattva vow, is the practice of life after life until all beings are free from suffering, right? And that practice is based on the 6 paramitas of generosity, morality, patience, diligence, concentration, and wisdom. So that's Samantabhadra. The elephant also, a lot through Asian culture, seen for just incredible effort, work, diligence, strength, all of those things that kind of come along with, the wisdom, brilliant, way smarter than we are. I don't know about you, way smarter than I am. But so that's Samantabhadra. The Bodhisattva here, Manjushri, is the Bodhisattva of wisdom. And for me, the thing I love about this depiction of Manjushri is, you ever been in a cage with a crazy wild lion? No, not this week. Yeah. So the metaphor often is, as you know, the crazy, often referred to as the monkey mind that jumps and jumps and jumps, but that our mind is trying to tame the mind is comparable to trying to tame a crazy lion in a cage. And we're in the cage with that lion. That's our mind. This is like a little cartoon, cute lion. Looks pretty, like let's just go pet it and lay with it and, like a little cat. This is the wisdom that's required to tame the mind. And so Manjushri is seen just playfully with the lion. And we had these, as I know you know, but, specially made and gifted from families that have been doing temple statues for many generations in Taiwan. So we very specifically, a few years back, had these made. And then this one in the middle is the Kuan Yin, the Bodhisattva of compassion. Her name means hearer of the world's cries. So Kuan Yin hears all the suffering in the world and then pours out compassion to heal. The Dalai Lama, they say, is the literal rebirth of the Bodhisattva Kuan Yin. And that's why he has so much compassion. So Samantabhadra, great diligence, great effort. Manjushri, great wisdom. The sword, the Manjushri with the sword, that's more you see with like that one right there, that Tanga, you'll see with the sword is more of like a Tibetan Nepalese style. And so it's considered the wisdom sword that cuts through the ignorance. And again, this is the same idea, the wisdom that cuts through the ignorance, which is the cause of our suffering. So, yeah. The good news is the control is all about ignorance. So once you realize how ignorant you are, you're good to go. It's really simple. So, and the Kuan Yin is the vase. Often, I think I said this, or maybe not, but often the vase is seen being held or poured out is the compassion. So, vase of compassion with Kuan Yin, which also same thing. You'll see right there is a Tibetan style where you see the four-armed Chenrezig. In Tibetan is the Kuan Yin, so same. Different languages you see Chenrezig, Kuan Yin, Kuan Am, Kanon, Japanese, Kuan Am, Vietnamese. And even just outside of Buddhism and Asian cultures, Kuan Yin is seen as a goddess of mercy and compassion. So Kuan Yin is pretty cool. And we felt, this temple, this city, this country, this world needs compassion. So, yep. All right, so we'll join palms as we close. May the benefit of this practice be shared with all beings in all directions. May all be at peace. May all be free from suffering. May any merit gained from this practice be transferred to those who need it most. So we'll have a few quick announcements before y'all head out from our Dharma Bum host, David. The one with two hands up. I don't even remember the question.
I love control.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, we have lots in common. Hello everyone, my name is David. I'm the Dharma Bum host. We opened the Dharma Bum Temple 15 years ago to introduce Buddhist practice to those who show up. Those who lead are not nuns, monks, gurus, masters, teachers, are not looking for students. They're simply practitioners sharing their interpretation of the practice with others. Almost every night we have different classes led by people from various Buddhist traditions. We have a recovery sangha that meets several times a week for anyone battling addiction. Family sangha for parents, kids, toddlers, and teens, which meets once a month, and a half-day silent retreat the first Saturday of the month. Everything we offer here is always free. The full schedule is on our website and posted in the entryway above the shoe rack. We also have a lending library. If you see a book you like, feel free to borrow it and bring it back whenever you are done with it. Please straighten your seat or cushion before you head out. Thank you for being here. We wish you well and hope to see you again.
Thanks, David. And one final announcement, we did restart last week the food distribution program. We did it on Thanksgiving, and now we're back every week. It's a program we ran for 12, 13 years, but when pandemic hit, we put it on pause and for almost 3 years. So we started that up again every Thursday, 5 o'clock. We meet downstairs, we prepare food for about 45 minutes, and then we carpool downtown and walk downtown for about 45 minutes, passing out food to those who live on the streets. And we're back here by 7 o'clock. So for many years, we had pretty fancy stuff we'd get from grocery stores, things like that. And so we'll build that back up. But we also, for many years, just did peanut butter and jelly. So right now, we're just doing it simpler, and especially with a lot of new people to do peanut butter and jelly. So peanut butter and jelly, bread. So also on that note as well, if you're coming to Temple at any time during the week, or you want to, on Thursday or whatever anyone wants to bring, jars of peanut butter, jars of jelly, and or bread, you're welcome to, donate, drop that off at Temple, because we'll just use that. And we'll probably stick with PB&J for, I don't know, maybe 4 or 6 weeks until everything else builds back up. But the practice is as much, if not more, for you than those on the streets. They'll probably make it through the night without our sandwich, but for us to actually see, people who live that way tends to put things into perspective. So thanks all.